So
the only thing I'm showing is a motion to exclude the online
I
broadcast
muted it and it took it out.
sentencing. Are there other motions that are set?
yes, sir. There's a 404, 412 motion to eliminate, and there's another motion to eliminate.
All right.
Those were filed probably before the case was the venue change. So I don't know.
Can you hear?
All right, well, we'll,
Now I can.
Well, I'd rather have some guidelines going into the trial and have an order knowing what we can ask and not ask today than during the middle of a trial, Your Honor. Ms. Clack. No, okay. Ms. Clack, yeah, okay.
well, let me deal with these other matters because obviously your motion to exclude the live stream of any pretrial motions, and I've read through your motion. Defense have any objection to any of that? What I'm talking about now is the state's motion to exclude a live stream of the pretrial motions and the trial itself. It is a public trial. We'll reserve the motions in Bucciarelli until after I've dealt with these other matters.
Yes, Your Honor.
Where we are. All right, we have Mr. Willis. Let's deal with Mr. Willis's case. He is on screen with us. Saul, you have a motion?
Yes, Your Honor.
I've read through it. I don't know what he's asking.
Yeah. Your Honor, I filed a motion asking for actually two separate transport orders. In my motion, state I've had some difficulty, I think that's the polite way to put it, in terms of scheduling a visit out in Morgan County. So I was going to ask the court actually for some assistance with that, to see if we could get a transport order issued to have my client brought in for the sake of review before the trial, and then, in other words, as soon as possible. And then brought in a second time, of course, for the trial, but maybe a couple days in advance so we could do the final preparation on it. I've spoken with General Crouch. He's in a meeting this morning, but he indicated to me that he was not opposed to the motion and was in agreement with.
His trial is on the 23rd, correct?
Yes, Judge, September 23rd. Expect it probably take at least 3 days just because of the number of witnesses.
Well, we have a criminal docket here on September the 5th, correct? So why don't we have him transported here on September the 5th for that criminal docket? And then you'd have to have him transported here for his trial. Then I don't know what does Captain Davis have to say about transporting him a couple of days before trial? No, Officer Howell, if you can come up. So within the ability I have to direct the sheriff as far as transportation, I'll certainly try to accommodate your request, and I don't see there's a problem with transporting him on the 5th.
Yes, sir.
And allowing you to have that opportunity to speak to him. And then,
yeah, he's scheduled, of course, to go to trial. It's a Tuesday, 23rd. I don't know the procedural ins and outs the way TDOC does it, but I would think they would have him here at least on Monday, the 22nd, given that trial would start.
well, I'm sure they will, yeah.
So if he's here then we could do our final discussion before then. But if he was brought here September 5th, that would be very helpful.
All right, so having him transported perhaps on the 4th for trial, for a hearing on the 5th for the criminal docket call that we have September the 5th, and then having him transported on the 22nd for his trial the next day on the 23rd.
Thank you, Judge. And I'll submit two different orders
All right.
so one doesn't get lost with the other in terms of TDOC.
good question. I mean, I can only suggest that the order will state that we're asking for him to be transported for that purpose.
Yes, sir.
Officer Howell, Mr. Wills is scheduled for trial here on September the 23rd. Mr. Saul is asking to be able to meet with him. We have a criminal docket call on the 5th, so I was going to request that he be transported on the 4th to be here and be held for that docket call on the 5th. Is that possible? Will the TDOC allow us to keep him overnight? All right. Yeah, we're going to need him in court on the 5th, so if you transport him on the 4th, Mr. Saul will have an opportunity to meet with him either the 4th or the 5th. And then we need him again on the 22nd before his trial on the 23rd. All right.
I'll submit 2 separate orders, Judge,
Right.
stating that. Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Wills, I assume you could hear everything. I muted you a moment ago because we were hearing what was going on there, but we're going to bring you in a little early on the 5th, 4th, so that you can meet with Mr. Saul, and then again on the 22nd to give you two an opportunity to try to discuss your case and make sure you're ready for trial. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Your Honor, if the court has any other business to handle beforehand, I would ask that my client being on the way, he texted me, that this be called later.
That's fine, Your Honor. The victim is actually here today. I thought she understood that we were going to reset this. She's just given birth 2 weeks ago, so I thought we were going to reset this. I'm going to go talk to her, and if she's ready today, we can move forward. If the court...
This is the 412 hearing?
Yes, sir. I did not think she was going to be here, so I'm not quite sure what's going on, so I'd ask for a little break too, if that's okay.
All right, well, we'll pass your case and come back to it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That hearing had a little bit of everything. Judge David Wolfe presided over a session heavy on pretrial motions, and the debate circled around some fairly technical but important issues. Things kicked off with the state's motion to exclude live streaming of the trial and pretrial hearings. Judge Wolfe noted the constitutional guarantee of a public trial but held off on a final ruling, signaling he'd balance transparency with fairness when the time came. Then the court turned to the defense's request for transport orders in State v. Willis. Defense counsel explained the difficulty of meeting with his client in prison ahead of the September 23 trial. The judge worked out a practical solution. Have Willis transported on September 4 for a September 5 docket call, giving time for preparation, and again on September 22 to be ready for trial the next day. That compromise struck a balance between security, logistics, and fairness to the defense. The real technical fireworks came with the defense's motion for a bill of particulars in a stalking case. Defense counsel argued the state had to identify exactly which acts it claimed made up the alleged course of conduct. The prosecution countered that discovery and the indictment already gave the defendant enough detail, pointing out that 2 specific dates had been provided. Judge Wolfe pressed both sides, noting the unique statutory language around course of conduct might require sharper definitions. The defense doubled down, arguing that without clarity on which acts belonged to which count, it would be impossible to know if the charges represented one continuous offense or multiple separate ones. The exchange showed a courtroom drilling into the fine print of how stalking statutes are structured, with the judge signaling he'd weigh the arguments carefully. The atmosphere was calm but layered with legal precision, logistical housekeeping on one hand, statutory construction on the other. If you found this hearing insightful, consider subscribing, hitting the bell, and letting me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every one.